Welcome back, mere mortalites, to what I'm now calling the mere mortals in motion. So, there's a chance for me, and if you had already a bit of a listen to the first episode, which is all around setting the foundations. If you haven't, go check that out. Go listen to that. This is going to be getting into slightly more detail, but not the precision of the detail, which we'll get to in the subsequent sessions that we'll be putting out. But this particular one, as you would have seen, the foundation is the first phase of workouts that I'll be tackling. And so, what I want to work through today is I've got a couple of notes here around what is the phase, why am I choosing that particular one, what the outcome is, how I'm going to be actually approaching it. And I'll be using at least putting out some images. If you're watching this via somewhere where you can actually see the videos, you'll be able to see that as well. But I might actually link this to a website as well where you can go and see that if you want to consume it as well. And of course, some of the science or rationale behind some of the ideas that I'm putting this together. So, the why a phase in fitness. So, to give you some idea, when I very first began training, I would go in to do workouts, and it would be very much a either bro split, that sort of chest on your Monday and legs on Tuesday and back on Wednesday, something to that effect, or it was just go in, train as much as possible, but there wasn't, let's say, rhyme or reason. It was more of a get in, have a good movement, and very much so to the broader context of population for the mere mortal out there. It's kind of fine as long as you're getting in X amount of minutes where you want to be talking about zone two, not zone two, strength training, cardio, vascular endurance, whatever. It might just be minutes. In particular, with myself, and you'll see I'll go into a little bit more detail. I've now gone to a point of do things in phases, and those phases might be 8 weeks, 12 weeks, 16 weeks, maybe longer, maybe shorter, depending on the goal. But at least just time bounding something, right? And so this is the first phase that we're going to be talking about that in the plan, and of course throughout the whole year, which is basically where I track for most of my goals in the medium length. There's going to be a phase that tracks along for a few phases within the year, and so that sort of makes up the 52-week domain. So that's sort of where my specific focus and energy goes during those phases, right? I guess the benefits around that is, you're improving quite specifically on something versus kind of just going broad. Again, when you're training at the very beginning, whether that is any modality, swimming, running, strength training, if you're quite a beginner in the areas, kind of doesn't really matter what you're doing. So again, an example for myself, when I was younger, I just wanted to train, be it for strength, be it for a better body shape, be it for greater muscles, be it for whatever have you, flexibility. It didn't really matter what I did as long as I was showing up, putting in the minutes, putting in lifting and just the repetitions. That was enough. The body was growing, the body was getting stronger, etc. Now there comes a point where it's not that I've mastered any particular piece, and I guess as mere mortals, we don't really aim to master everything. But it is a case for, okay, it's now time to prioritize a certain amount of work, whether it's again, energy domain. I've talked about that. I've got a blog post out about that, or a specific lift or a specific modality. Again, you want to just focus on swimming. You'll focus on that for a particular amount of weeks and reach a particular outcome. And that's because you can be much more acute and act on, where the impact is going to be best suited. Case in point, if you're looking to be a bodybuilder and grow your muscles, you want to be breaking down the fascia, you want to be breaking down the muscle fibers so they can reheal, and you'll eat differently, you'll train differently. You're not necessarily needing to make the outcome of greater strength by the end of whatever time block. So that's just an example. So for me personally, the first phase I'm going to be talking about is one that's obviously not something that I'm good at, to be honest. It's running. Right. So running for me, I've run previously in the past on and off. It's something that I don't necessarily enjoy that much, although there have been glimpses into what people talk about, the running high and that good feeling. I've had it sometimes, not all the times, but sometimes. And so I thought, hey, let's put together again another running phase. There's certain aspects from the energy systems that I, again, suck at. So anything beyond the 12, 15-minute range, I know that I start breaking down in terms of being able to have a low enough heart rate. For myself, running in itself, I find that it would be a good way to reduce my heart rate like sort of base heart rate, but also improve my heart rate variability and VO2 max. So there's a lot of things in there which I go, cool, running is a focus. And so there's going to be specifically the first phase here of running is going to go for 12 weeks. So yeah, look, personal reasons for choosing that first phase. It's a personal weakness. There is a mental challenge that comes with running that I often don't stumble across in the other training. I've been doing powerlifting and bodybuilding or other modalities for a while, sports, you name it. But in particular, running, especially running, without listening to something or a podcast, it can get boring. It can get annoying. It can get frustrating, especially because I'm not good at it. And so I go, I'm not good at it. I'd rather just turn away. And so here's an aspect of, the mental challenge that is presented is a good thing. So that's the other place where I'll be looking to improve in the way that I'm doing this particular phase is actually leaning into that feeling of annoyance per se, because I think it's a very surface feeling. Also just as seeing as an area of potential learning. So I could talk to you till the cows come home about angle of lat pull down and close gripping and doing a pull up and muscle ups and all these other movements because I've done it all the time. I can't in particular talk to you, and I guess we'll be discovering it together, really, Mere Mortalites and this Mere Mortals in Motion, of as I go through learning, what worked well, what didn't, is this particular path and set out that I've set out for doing running, is it going to work? Is it not? I'll be playing through, learnings and where I'm finding some of this research and why I'm doing things so that we all can basically learn, not just myself, but hopefully someone who's listening to this as well. And also just a variety. So putting some of these phases as well together that I've sort of planned out for the year, it introduces variety to the usual training. Once you've been training more than, a few years, you can get bored. You can get used to what you're doing. And so again, there's a variety where I don't usually structure a day where all I'll do is running. That feels alien to me, but that's what's going to be coming up. And so it'll be interesting to participate in that and that differentiation where in my mind, a training session is not a running session. So, how does that play out mentally? How does that feel in a variety way? We'll see. And so that's, I guess, what this phase will look like. I guess the goal of this particular phase, it's really to spend more time running, right? Working towards maybe a marathon distance. Doesn't have to be though. So I'll put together and we'll kind of talk through that pace around, hey, this is how I might get to running a marathon or at least a half marathon. We'll see how that sort of plays out and just adapt to the different training cycles. Really, the primary outcome here is get moving, spend more time running, and that might just look like total kilometers per week or total minutes per week, something to that effect. That's really it. So now I'm going to actually bring this up because I'll talk through the overview of the 12-week training approach, and so that I've got it kind of in front of me. So first thing first, it's going to be gradual increases of running distances for really the stamina endurance building. There's going to be a variety of training runs. So I actually use ChatGPT-4 as well as some other research bits around, how might I structure it. So in a week, there will be one long training session, one tempo session, one easy run, and one hill or speed workout style workout. So that'll be 4 running sessions in a week. There'll be incorporations of rest days for recovery, as you might expect. There's going to be also some inclusion of tempo and speed work. So I've sort of mentioned it before, but it's more so for end state pace improvement. So that's looking to not just do the long runs, which definitely do like needed. You need those long runs at a slow pace to get you to a position where you can do just longer time on your feet and get your feet ready. But also that tempo/speed work to make sure that you can, whether it's at the very end of a race, I guess, or just throughout it, you can still maintain a good pace. And also, it's a bit of a learning in terms of both knowing how to do long, slow runs and faster paced ones, especially in the tempos, because you have to practice what is the pace that I should be doing, or more importantly, and I guess I've been reading a little bit about this, is that as you start to become better, it's not so much the pace that matters, but how far or what time domain you can keep particular heart rate while reaching your desired distance. So more so around that area. And look, the culmination as well, there'll be a bit of a tapering in the middle of this 12-week phase, as well as some optimum rest and readiness around that. So looking very specifically at the actual numbers. And this, I'll put a link, and I'll have this in an image somewhere if you're able to actually access it if you're watching this through a video content. But what that looks like, there was 2 preparatory sort of weeks where it was just basically getting some sort of running to try to get a feel on what's my pace like, what am I feeling like, etc. And so those weeks had 11 kilometers and 14 kilometers. What you'll see that here the first week, and it's green at the moment across those figures because I've started that already. I've started that phase, and so I'm just sort of summarizing here what's going to become in the next 12 weeks. But those total kilometers, I'm going to read it out here in case you can't see it, is from week 1 to week 12. There's an easy run on Monday. There's a tempo run on Wednesday, a speed hill work on Friday, and a long run on Saturday. That's just what works for me. And total kilometers goes week 1, 18.6, week 2, 21 kilometers, week 3, 25 kilometers, week 4, 29 kilometers, week 5, 33, week 6, 36.5, week 7, 37.5, week 8, taper back, 30 kilometers, week 9, 36.8, week 10, 39.8, week 11, 39.1, including a half marathon long run, and then week 12, a 20 kilometer to sort of taper back down. Now, if after that point I want to try and do a marathon distance just to see what it's like, maybe I'll go give it that well. But again, the ultimate outcome here is spending more time in minutes on my feet for running. And as you can see, it's just increasing the total kilometers across the weeks. Generally, a guide, and this has come up in either science pieces, but in other places as well that I've read and listened to, people like Nick Bear and others, is generally you don't want to go higher or harder than 10% more of total kilometers per week. Now, you'll see that there is slight deviation to that. It's probably there's some weeks in there that it's maybe 15%, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more. We'll see what that looks like. So as I'm describing through the week to week, we'll be learning along. Is that jump between 21 to 25 too much? Is 29 to 33 too much? Is 36 to 37 too little? Right, and we'll probably be guided by the minutes in terms of that speed, the ability to just kind of maintain the body's health and recovery, as well as the rest of my training. Because what you'll see there is no running on Tuesday, no running on Thursday, and no running on Sunday. However, I'll still be training my usual gym training in amongst that, and you'll see that in my weekly detailed reviews of training sessions for the week. But they're going to be pulled back because obviously the primary goal is going to be that running effort. Now, something that often, some people find really interesting, some people don't. I don't all that often, but I thought I'd just call it out. It's actually 2 shoes, so in terms of equipment, right? All the equipment that you really need is probably shoes and a shirt. Sometimes for me, no shirt when I run around. And I've actually got 2 that I'll be using. So one is this Under Armour Speedform Gemini 3 training shoe. I've had it for a very, very, very long time. If you're looking at the video, and you can see it's a very worn out shoe, but it is fun to use for just everyday type of running around, not really caring much about yourself. And I've actually got another pair that I got gifted for my birthday, and these are the Nike Vaporflies. Nike Vaporflies. So again, it's one of those much more professional looking, looks like I should be an actual runner, and I might be using those in the longer runs / when I'm trying to get a bit more pace. So we'll see how those play out. So that's in terms of the actual equipment and what you need, really just running shoes and some space. At least me personally, I'll be using, there's areas in the city, especially where I'm going into work and the like, that I like to just run around that area. Some close to home, I've been using a dog park that's about 1 kilometer away from me. And then when I get there, it's about 1 kilometer to get there. And the loop around the dog park's around 400 meters, 300 meters. And so I basically just loop that dog park, 5 times, 6 times, 10 times, 15 times. We'll see, I'll see how bored I get. Just some of the science, behind some of these training approaches. You'll see it's around periodized training, which is something that's been extensively researched. So the one concept that we're trying to do here with running is overloading the actual body for adaptation. So I'm trying to improve both endurance and speed, and it's overloading that body in a gentle enough way that I'm not going to just break and get into some sort of injury. No, I'm trying to build it up in a gradual enough way, but not in a lazy way, so that I can progress at a good pace. again, we'll see what that looks like for me personally. Near model lights, you'll have to know for yourself as well. What does that look like? Is going 10% too much, too little? Is 15% more? Do you need to not do speed runs? Do you need to do more tempo? Look, I'm trying to put this forward so that you can then make it more custom for yourself. And again, that's just how we learn. There's a couple of other recommended readings as well. So one I was going to recommend was Advanced Marathoning by Peter Fitzinger and Scott Douglas. So it's a bit more of a practical guide for marathon running if you wanted to check a few of those. But at the very least, there was 2 papers which I went through and actually just had a bit of in terms of the tapering and when I was putting this together. So both from 1998, and I've got them here. One from Ujika, the other one from Foster, and it was around just the influence of tapering for highly trained individuals, and then the monitoring of training for overtraining syndrome. So those 2, you'll see a lot of summaries around running which make reference to these 2 particular journal articles. So I had a bit of a read of their summary. I by no means went and had a bit of a read of the full thing. Just summary, abstract for me, that's enough. So if you care about them, and I'll put a link as well, it's the influence of training characteristics and tapering on the adaptation in highly trained individuals, a review, and monitoring training in athletes with reference to overtraining syndrome, medicine, and science in sports and exercises. So there you have it, folks. That's basically this phase coming up. What you'll find as we go through now into the more weekly detailed views is I'll be focusing much more on the running. And so there'll be some learnings, talking through specific runs, talking through where I'm finding what I'm needing to alter and shift. What I've just presented to you as well, by the way, it's already shifted based on the start of the week when I was about to start the phase. Why? I kind of noticed there was way too many kilometers. I didn't have enough time really realistically in my life to be able to put this together. So I had to scale it back. And so you'll see that going forward. But those detailed weekly views you'll be getting a lot of benefits around the training that I'm doing as well, just in why am I doing it, what's sucking, what's good, take it if you want, and then running specifically. Follow along. Is it interesting? Cool. Tag along. If it helps you in some way of customizing your own training, fantastic. Let me know. But I guess the request from myself for you, Mere Mortal Lights, is if you want to be supporting us here in the podcast, whether it's Mere Mortals in Motion or the Mere Mortals podcast, Mere Mortals Big Book Reviews or the Valley for Value channel, is to do so in a value for value way. So the principle is time, talent, treasure. You can send through some sort of treasure, which is a boostergram or some sort of Satoshis in a treasure way, in all the apps out there that allow you to do that. Things like Fountain app out there allows you to do that as well. So you can go and play around, see how that feels. You can do so by talent. If you have a talent in running, if you want to give me some details about running and maybe some insights or to help me out as I go through, absolutely. Comment, send me an email. I'll be putting very detailed reviews of the training on the website. You can contact me through there. You can sign up if you want to. All these ways, contact me. There's various ways you can do so. All the time. And that is time, obviously, in listening to this episode, sharing it with a friend, and again, giving back that time in other formats of ensuring that we can be heard by more people and hopefully support others as well, make it useful. So yeah, share it around if you find it useful. Again, the next one after this, now that we've talked through the running phase, is going to be the detailed. And so that one, just a bit of a structure, is going to be a quick summary of what the week's entailing. So, what's the outcome of the week? And then I'll just go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Bang, this is a training. This is what the outcome was. This is roughly the minutes. This is what I found good, bad, some learning points from it. Awesome. Rock and roll. Keep on going. And we'll go from there. Awesome. So I'm going to sign off there, folks. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you're taking any learnings or you're going to enjoy this, please let me know. Leave a comment. I definitely want to manipulate the next couple of episodes that come out as well based on that feedback. So for now, Mere Mortal Lights, I hope you enjoy. 1,